Welcome back to another episode of the Family Bloodline Podcast as we continue to celebrate Women's History Month.
Family bloodline, the 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 family
Today, we have a very special guest, uh, the first, the first of its kind on our show, on our podcast rather, and that is none other than my mother, Kathleen Glass.
Hey, Cat. Hey.
And so
Hey.
today we will be essentially going through history and celebrating history, women's history from my mother's perspective and from her point of view as she talks to us about some of the important points of history as she's gone through and lived through, as well as some of the hopefully influential women of her life in our family as she's grown up. So without further ado, Mom, would you like to tell everyone your name? And it's not mom, it's only mom for me and another person. That's it. So.
He not sharing his mama no more.
Born and raised Kathleen Calvin, married to James's father, James Allen Glass Sr.
Gave a whole Christian name.
For you because you're a Christian, little boy, don't play. And for so many years. So I am formerly Kathleen Calvin Glass.
Awesome. All right. So without divulging too much information, going back through a little bit of time, not too much time, because as we get older, time is actually becomes relative. So just a quick question off the top of my head to kind of get the conversation started and push it a little bit forward. Who were some of the more influential women throughout your life as you grew up?
Well, there were teachers, of course, but I can say the most influential women in my life were actually my grandmothers and my mom.
Hey, Granny.
Hi, Granny.
Not much education, so they stressed education because for the most part they were sharecroppers and then later on became business owners, but very brilliant people, very bright women, business minded. They were wives, they were mothers, they were Christian. They raised families, helped with the work on the farms, helped with the works in the cafes. My dad, per se, was a prosperous business owner. He owned 2 cafes when I was growing up. And my mom worked and she actually cooked in both. She held both of those places down, plus raised her family. So she was very, very influential in my life. I used to just get up with her from a little child. I can remember from when I was about 8 years of age and older, getting up with her just to watch her make biscuits in the morning. And it looked so, she did it with such grace. And she was an excellent cook. She's still a good cook. And I just couldn't wait to imitate her and get my hands in that dough. My grandmother was the same way. Very hardworking women, milked cows, killed chickens.
So when you say grandmother, you talking about my Manny?
I'm talking about Annie Mae and Roberta, both. Both. I've had the privilege of knowing both of my grandmothers on my mother's side and my father's side, and spent lots of time with the both of them. Just getting those good old solid foundations embedded within you, learning how to cook, to sew, to care for your family, clean and go to school, being a nurturer. I learned all those things from the both of them. but I can attribute most of my Christian experience to my grandmother on my mom's side, Annie Mae Streeter. Very heavy influence from my mom and both of my grandmothers.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I didn't know that granddad owned 2 cafes.
Oh yeah.
Both of them were in Little Rock.
No. These were in Helena.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, that's another.
And that's where you were born, right?
No, I was actually born in a place called Rome,
Rome,
Mississippi,
Mississippi.
Oh,
and migrated. Mom, how I was about 2 when we moved up to Helena. Mom, about around 2 or 3 years old when we migrated to Helena, Arkansas,
So
okay.
and I lived there until I was about 10 years old.
and then after y'all moved from Helena, where'd y'all end up going after that?
To St. Louis, good old St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Misery.
Okay.
Okay. And Kat, can you
Yes.
I know that you've been in school my whole entire life. Like you always been in school. Like, can you tell me, like, you have your doctorates, right?
No, I have everything but my dissertation done for my doctorates.
Okay. So you
Mhm.
right there. So are you still in school right now?
No.
He's over it.
No. After that, your cousin Jadawan told me, she said, Mama, if you're going to school just for us, because I wanted to be an example and get my PhD. She said, I'm going to get my PhD, so you really can quit if you want to. So I quit.
Okay. Well, there you go.
But of course, I have a bachelor's, I have 2 masters, and
Wow.
then I'll put my dissertation for my PhD.
Wow. Amazing.
Well, I would say, Aunt Kat, if you that close, just go ahead and do it.
Eventually, I will.
Yeah. Just go ahead and do it.
Yep. Once I get a house and get settled, I will. I'll go and get it out of the way. Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any like advice that you would give somebody that's, struggling with going back to school or anything like that?
Well, yes, because I actually went back to school and finished all my degrees after I had all 3 of my children.
Mm-hmm.
So,
We remember being up at Harris Stowe.
Oh, which is a HBCU.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, stuff.
yes.
I don't like
So
stress.
I would tell anybody, if it's in your heart to do it, go ahead and persevere. You will overcome the obstacles. There are many hurdles that you'll have to overcome, but you can do it. You just got to take a deep breath. One of my professors told me, and I adopted it as my motto. He said, if you can't get up the mountain on one side, try going around on the other side.
Okay.
So just stick with it. You'll climb it. You'll get up there. You'll get and obtain your goals. So just stick with it. No matter, I don't care how many children you might have. I don't care how meager your income appear to be. Just keep pressing on at it. Just keep hacking away. You'll get it done. The reward far greater. Far greater. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been thinking about going back to school. I'm just like, oh no, I'm getting up there in age.
Do it. Do it. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Auntie
Be the
Sam,
old chick in the classroom, be like these 18 somethings.
Oh no. You have many, many non-traditional students at school these days.
Yeah.
that is-
I'm a non-traditional student.
Now, when I first went back, I felt bad because there was a lot of young folks in my classrooms and stuff. And shoot, when I found out I was much swifter upstairs than they were intellectually, hey, I was okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was okay.
I
They
know that's
gave me
right.
inspiration to go right on. And I was the my class president in my senior year at Harris Stowe.
Oh,
Oh yeah, they voted me in and really wasn't trying to be the class president. I was making money so that we could get a good speaker to come to our graduation. And since
Wow.
I since I had gotten up early in the mornings and sold uh, sausage and biscuits and coffee and orange juice,
Ah,
said, "Hey, we want you to be our president."
There you go. Did you get your good speaker?
Yeah, we had Ben Carson,
Oh,
Dr. Ben
Dr.
Carson.
Ben Carson, gifted
Yeah.
hand.
oh, okay.
Mhm.
He's a neuroscientist that was put in the
Yeah.
Trump administration as the
Yeah,
HUD director, and that
yeah,
I don't
which
think that
was
worked out for him so well.
demeaning. That was demeaning for a man of his stature.
Oh, absolutely,
What
Yeah.
it was
absolutely.
very encouraging because, of course, you all know I worked in special education for many, 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 many years,
Yes,
and
you did. You
he
had the heart of gold. You did.
and, and he had actually worked himself out of special ed when everybody was saying what he couldn't do. So he was
Mm.
inspirational. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I
Yeah.
almost made a cruel joke, but I'm gonna keep that to myself.
You do that.
Well, Auntie, since we are on the topic of your amazing education, I want to go back to the beginning a little bit with you and talk about how it was going through the integration of, Black students into white schools.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what, Shay? It was not hard for me for some reason, even though I went through segregation. You know what? Sometimes God protects us and we don't have an inkling of what's happening in our lives.
Yeah.
In the South, being a young girl in the South, my father had to protect us a lot because um, the public swimming pool was just a matter of blocks from our house. So I would go over
Mm,
there and walk, and the Caucasian kids were inviting me to come in, you know. So it really wasn't the children per se, it was more adults with the segregation thing than it was with children. Children always have a heart. Uh,
I
they want
agree.
to know. They want to know who the other person really is.
Oh, they
But
cute.
it, it's the adults. Now, when I migrated to, and of course, in the South, in Arkansas, we went to elementary school, North End Elementary School, and we were segregated. And they always taught us to hold your head up, your shoulders, square your shoulders, and you don't look down, you don't bow down to anybody, and that you're just as good as the next person. And me, I've always been a little naive. I had not an inkling of what they were talking about. But as I grew, now when I migrated to St. Louis, we were already integrated here. And
Okay.
it was amazing to me to see even the Catholic school. I went to the Catholic school then, me and your Aunt Renee.
Oh, you went to Catholic school?
Uh-huh.
mm, mm.
Renee and I went to Immaculate Conception. And but to see, to be in the classroom room with Caucasian children was something new to me. It was something new. So I've always been a socialite. Of course, I got to know them. They were my best friends and everything. I knew all about them. They would invite me over to their homes for lunch and everything. I mean, it was an easy transition for me.
Mhm.
Now, on the other hand, when I went to high school, now as old as that was, because Linda Brown versus the Board of Education, and when they
Mm.
got rid of segregation, that was back in 1954,
Separate
1955.
but
So,
equal.
Mhm. Mhm.
huh?
The separate but equal ruling.
Yes, yes. But when I went to high school here in St. Louis, McKinley High School, I had a very good friend my senior year, and she had invited me to her home for a sleepover. Well, like I said, children, we don't think about stuff. Teenagers, we don't think about things like that. I don't know. She was my good friend, and she was like a sister to me. And she had invited me to come over, but her mom had told her I could not come,
Mhm.
and she wanted to know why. And the story goes on. I didn't go, but she ended up leaving home because that hurt her very bad. She badly.
Aw.
She didn't, and she dropped out of school.
Mm.
Uh,
Aw.
because she didn't know about racism of, to that caliber, even though she had been around white people all her life. Well, we were in high school and we were just good friends. She could care less about the color of my skin, and I could care less about hers.
Right.
So I ran into some things. I had some professors at the St. Louis University when I went there, that didn't think that blacks had the intellect to earn A.
Mm-hmm.
And he let me know that.
Wow.
So
I
what did
was
he say to you? Like, I'm curious. Like, he like, I know you're not gonna get an A in his class, or was
well,
it?
he said that we had been deprived, that we didn't have the knowledge that the white children had because it was not imparted to us. Our education was of a lesser degree. And I'm there fighting with him and telling him, Dr. Collins, wait a minute, hold on. I don't care how many books you're an author. I said, I want you to know I've always been a straight A student. And we would go back and check. We have tests and stuff, and I'm studying with the smartest of the people, and he would mark my answers wrong and mark theirs right.
And they were the exact same
Same
answers.
And
answer.
they were the exact same answer.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So, and I had white friends. They said, no. They went to the dean of student affairs. They fought for me. I didn't even have to do it. They destroy my papers. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's how we gotta do it.
Won't he do it? Won't he do it?
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Well, but I didn't stay at St. Louis University any longer. I went on to Harris Stone.
Okay.
I discovered that the same professors that were at St. Louis U that I was paying this enormous amount of money to get an education for, it was over at Harris Stone. I say, oh shoot, forget this. So I went to Harris Stone and earned a quality education. Yeah.
Well, would you recommend an HBCU for Black people rather than a regular university?
I've had both. As far as our Black children are concerned, yes, I would recommend an HBCU. You know why? Because they don't know their history.
Mm.
Our children today, I've discovered, they don't know their history.
It seems like it gets worse the more the generations grow. Like every generation kind of knows less and less and less
And
about
their Black culture, their history. That is so true.
And it's done on purpose. That's a systematic movement. That's not something that's half stepped out or anything of that nature. It's purposely done, just like when parents were catching the quote unquote updates for history books in Texas not too long ago, which actually set the standard for history that's been taught across the United States. And they were essentially saying that, I'm trying to remember how they called it. They were painting slavery in a picture in a way that it didn't actually call it slavery. It was like people were coming over on their own of their own accord and working for free, essentially. And that got caught.
Okay.
Yeah, that got caught, and they had to go back and republish the books because they whitewashed the history of America.
Yeah.
And they do it on purpose, and it's done every year, very subtly. And then all it takes is a couple of sentences. And again, like I keep telling people about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was not this great guy. He wasn't this progressive person. If you go back and you actually study Abraham Lincoln, you see that he was somewhat progressive for his time, but through the different debates that he had with Frederick Douglass, as well as the Civil War, he had to make certain military decisions. The Emancipation Proclamation, like I keep telling people, was a military document. It wasn't anything that was written up out of the goodness of his heart, because that's not who he was. After his last debate, again, he stated that he didn't believe that blacks were equal to whites, plain and simple. And he died with that belief still.
Yeah.
So all it takes is a small little bit, a small sentence to change the actual truth of the story. And American history, as well as Westernized education, has been on a continuous movement to
Mm-hmm.
do that, to whitewash history and to wash us out and to
Yeah.
continue to write them in,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. Sooner or
Mhm.
later, we're going to think Michael Jackson was white. Mark my words.
You know,
Y'all are laughing, but mark my words.
Oh my
uh,
God.
that's why I used to take my children to uh, my activities from school with me so that they could learn about the arts, the artists, because
Mhm.
a lot of people promote white artists, but they never know that it's the black artists that the white artists are copied from.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, like um, I know I was doing a paper about aeromechanics because that's the area that I scored high in when I was going over to O'Fallon Tech. But during that time, they would not allow women to train in aeronautical engineering.
Mm,
Mm.
ouch.
When I was in college, I did a paper about aeronautical engineering, and believe it or not, they had Bessie Coleman in there. I thought, who is this
Mhm.
Bessie? Yes, she black. And they just had a little blurb about
Yes, yeah.
Bessie Coleman. And I went and bought a book about Bessie.
Mhm.
Actually, they talk about Amelia Earhart. Bessie Coleman flew way before
Way
Amelia.
before. Yeah.
She did. Then
And
I
I can
became,
say from experience, I knew about Amelia Earhart before I knew about Bessie Coleman.
yeah, Bethune, those people, Harriet Tubman, of course, they would give us a little touch and a little taste
Mhm.
of things that they did. And actually, from when I was coming up to read the little passages about Harriet Tubman, they really made her seem like she was an outlaw, but
Mhm.
she did lots of made great strides in the Underground Railroad for our people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They and another thing that they've washed out is they talk about the Underground Railroad, but they don't the one that leads up north and eventually, hey Granny, goes to Canada. But but they never really talk about the Underground Railroad that went south to Mexico. And they
Uh-huh.
don't talk about the Mexican Constitution that wrote in a lot of stuff because of American slavery at that time, which
Mm-hmm.
begins to state, and they told America that we're not going to send anyone back. As a matter of fact, anyone who makes it to Mexico is a free person, and you're not going to come and get them either.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But that's all, they never talk about that. They rarely ever talk about the fact that Harriet Tubman was an actual, I don't want to call her a general, but she was an officer in the Civil War.
Oh,
She
she was.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's another fact that's often skipped over and it's glossed over and it's not taught at
Mhm.
the younger levels. But anyway, go ahead, Mom. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah.
I did. I learned that watching the movie Harriet.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
I
know that
forgot
either.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good movie. I love that movie.
They refused. A lot of the officers refused to fight unless Harriet was there
Mm-hmm.
to rally the blacks, to help them. So,
Mhm.
we got a very rich history and a rich culture. And I am really honored because one thing for sure, my mother, my grandmothers and parents, they always stress education to get all you can all you get. So
Can all you get.
yeah, yeah. From a young girl, I used to go in. There was a organization called NYC, and they used to offer a lot of programs, for the community. And I
Mhm.
would be the youngest person sitting up there, getting all I can and canning all I
Get, I know that's right, AT. I know that's right.
and and I just thank God because He's always given me a mind to want to learn. I like to learn.
Yeah,
Mhm.
me too.
As a teacher, my 17 years that I did in the classroom, I enjoyed teaching because I enjoyed learning from my students.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
But ain't I remember going in the classroom with you and watching you with your students.
Oh
And it
God.
was like you were one of the few teachers that I ever, saw when you were teaching at Normandy Middle.
yeah, yeah.
and I sat in the classroom with you and I watched you interact with your students. And I think you were giving them everything that they needed. You were giving them the mother, you the big sister, you were giving them a teacher, you was giving them
So,
everything that they needed.
yeah,
And like I was like, why are not all teachers like this? Because I knew my teachers wasn't, not
yeah.
all of them.
I was just trying to figure out why these parents signed a form that would allow my mama to whoop their kids. Like, how is this still
Because
happening?
they knew that I cared for their
How is
child,
this
and
this
I wasn't
corporal
going to do anything
punishment?
to
I
harm
don't know
them.
nothing about that. I don't know anything
And the
about that.
parents signed release forms. I
right.
was like, look at this.
That's right.
Look at this. I read
Because
them.
they
I
paid me.
saw it.
Look, special school district paid me well to come to impart knowledge into my children, not for them to come and run me out of there. That was not going to happen. And they were going to learn something.
But and you said you taught like special school district. When I went in your classroom, I did not think that those were special kids that were special needs children.
Yeah, because you know what? I used the children's IEP, but I used the regular curriculum because my job was to get them to fill in the gaps and to give them what they had missed and to get them back out there with the rest of the kids. And I couldn't do that just doing a special curriculum for them and never getting them caught up. But I had to work with the curriculum and adapt it to each one of those children.
Mm-hmm.
That's so that, you know, to bring them up to where they need to be.
Like there needs to be more of that type of custom
Yes.
education to children, because one of the problems is that it's just this, you know, it's set and it's supposed to work for everybody.
Right.
But very often it just doesn't work for everybody because everybody learns in a different way and they need to be approached
That's
differently,
true.
spoken
so-
to differently, examples need to
Tell
be
you
different.
this too. It needs to be something that's, I tell anybody, you know, you can teach people to teach, but they still can't teach like a person that's got that calling, that anointing on their life.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a teacher. Whatever I learned in school, I went home that same day and I had school with my siblings.
There you go.
So it was in me. I've always been a teacher. They try to steer me into become a lawyer because I got a big mouth.
You've been a great lawyer too, Auntie.
I couldn't lie that well. I couldn't lie that well. I got a conscience.
Okay, you weren't trying to. There is.
Nah, but like,
Do you believe, what about religion in school?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that.
Mm.
That was the fall of our educational system when they took prayer out of the schools. I used to look forward to getting my prayer, going to the daily assembly, doing our devotion, and it got you in the mind frame to get ready to work and to learn.
Was it only at the Catholic school or was it at the public
No,
school?
that was
That was at public
the
schools
elementary
also.
school. That was at the
Oh.
elementary school. It was on the elementary school level. And once they took that out, I mean, we lost a lot of the children that way because they didn't have an opportunity to settle down, get their minds together, to meditate, you know, no prayer, nothing was going on, nobody showing any really concern and love for them, you know. It was just something about the presence of God in the classroom and in the schools that made a big difference. It made a big difference.
I agree with that. So the HBCU that I went to, it's a Christian university, but they do the same thing at the beginning of their classes. And so when I was in Zitzman, grade school, kindergarten, and first grade or whatever, we had prayer and we had the Pledge of Allegiance. And then after that, I didn't have to do it anymore until I got to college. When I got to college, at the beginning of each class, we would say a prayer, quick prayer, meditate, or whatever the case may be. And then we get into the lesson. And it actually does change the mood of the classroom altogether.
Changes the atmosphere.
Yeah, it really, really does.
You're ready to work.
And I used to be a bit opposed to it, but after experiencing it, there is some to it. There really, really is.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I don't
Well,
care how hard your life had been at home, um, what kind of day you had getting to school. But once it was time for prayer and devotion, it made a difference. It turned everything around.
Mhm.
It made up it,
Yeah.
and that's missing out of our children's lives today.
Yeah.
It really is. They don't have that time to really settle down, meditate,
Mhm.
let the Holy Spirit or whatever their little whatever deals with them, the higher power, whatever you want to call it, deal with them and settle them down and get them ready
Because a
to
lot
begin.
of them, they don't get that at home. They don't have anything like
That's
that.
right.
Yeah, it's a lot of chaos
Right.
mostly.
They can't
That's
get
right.
that at school. It's never, they just never get it. And that's not good, you know.
No, it's not. It's not. I know I was so shocked when I worked at juvenile detention out in Clayton, and my children
You
would
worked
be
with the juveniles too?
I'm juvenile. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my
Yeah,
greatness.
many had time.
Oh
A,
my goodness, Aunt Cat.
a very
Jeez.
a very rewarding
Knew, but
experience.
we don't have no idea.
uh, God always placed me where I was needed. That's what I've always prayed for, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be someplace
I
where I could
believe that too.
to be effective. And when I was at juvenile, my children, my students would come and ask me. And when I say my children, because all of them was mine. Once you came to Kathleen Glass's classroom, you belong to me. So
Yeah, they loved him some Miss Glass.
That Michael McDonald song, "You Belong to Me."
so,
Oh,
That
yeah.
was my Michael McDonald imitation.
once they found out that I was a minister and everything, they would tell me some of the other kids has told them, Miss Glass will pray for you. And it works.
Oh,
So and they would come to me and none of them had ever heard about God, never been to church, didn't know anything about establishing a relationship with the Lord. And of course, that was my golden opportunity to be a witness in their lives, and also for God to show forth His power in their life. I would get to my little secret corner and from the cameras, and I pray for them. And the Lord would always give me what to pray, and they would be so amazed.
mm-hmm.
How did you know that? How did you? I said, look, the Lord. I told him the Holy Spirit knows all. I said,
Okay.
now get on up there. And then I've had the opportunity to be able to go and testify on some of their behalves and tell them that, you shouldn't certify him. They shouldn't be in the adult penal system. Give them another chance. They're not sure for that. Just,
Mhm.
so.
And Kat, I do, like you just said that your prayers, like you always knew what to pray. Like one of your prayers has stuck with me my entire life, and I still use it to this day. Remember, you used to comb our hair, and then you'd be like, "More hair, Lord."
Yeah.
You touch our heads and be like, "More hair, Lord." I still do that. And when I comb my baby's hair, after I get done combing their hair, I touch their head and say, "More hair, Lord."
Oh, child, that's
Like that has stuck with me my entire life. I
That's
remember
hilarious.
standing in that bathroom at 4140 Shaw, and you had that brush and you comb their hair back into a ponytail and
Yes,
send us on our way to Sherman Elementary and like, "Mow her, Lord." I'm like, "Yes, mow her,
yes.
Lord." Swinging that little ponytail, walking out the door.
That was 4130, wasn't it?
Yeah, 4130. It
Yeah,
was
that was
4130.
4130.
Yeah, 4130.
So I don't
Yeah.
want to skip over a question that Dirt asked real
Oh,
quick,
I'm
Mike,
sorry.
because he asked what grades you taught.
Oh,
Oh,
I have taught every grade with the exception of third grade.
goodness gracious.
Every
You did
grade.
all that in 17 years.
on the podcast. She is an amazing woman. Okay, we're talking about Women's History Month. This is Auntie. She's incredible. So we're celebrating her today.
Well, bless
Yes.
God. I don't know about the incredible, but thank you.
You are
You
You
awesome. You
are,
know
Ma.
it.
you are.
Yeah,
Hey.
everything but third grade. But now, when I was the science lab teacher, I did teach third grade. I had third grade too to come
I
to the
love
science
science.
lab. But
Oh,
I have actually been a teacher, a classroom teacher in every grade, with exception of the third grade. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you prefer one over the other?
You know what?
Middle
Um,
school, like the fifth through the seventh, eighth grade.
you know what? That's an interesting question. You know, I had been in elementary school so long. I had taught kindergarten, first grade, second grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and uh, my daughter Candy. Her name is Mary. We call her Candy. But she came to me when she was going to middle school. She told my mom, "Why don't you teach middle school? You'll be an excellent middle school teacher." I told a girl, because everybody in there thinking they're grown, and I'm going to be the grownest thing in that classroom.
Okay.
And then, bless God, they came to me that
Yeah,
same year and said, "Miss Glass, we want you to try middle school."
Is that when you transitioned out to Normandy?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
yes.
I don't
That's
know.
what
I
I thought.
kind of feel like if you can get through the elementary school, you can get through any of it because it ain't nothing but older kids. You know what I mean? Doing the same stuff they do older. You
I
know?
know.
I know kindergarten. There you can mold those minds. Kindergarten, they're still trying to figure it all out.
Hey,
Kindergarten,
Kindergarten don't care.
you couldn't pay me $1 million to go back and teach kindergarten.
Kindergarten, them gangsters. They gangsters in kindergarten.
hey,
They gangsters.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
but
looking at all. I remember watching all of my kids go through kindergarten and looking at their little classmates and stuff. Like
Mhm.
last year when Lonnie was in school, I was like, "Oh no, these little gangsters right here. They don't care about nobody but them.
I say they
Numero
Never,
only
uno.
want to grow
That's
up
never
it.
and
seen
burn
money.
stuff down.
I want
That
that
is
crayon. I
look,
want it."
I give all kindergarten teachers their kudos, their props, because look, it took me half of the school year to just settle them down from crying, and they didn't want to be there. They cried, they have to pee. They cried, they didn't want to be on recess.
Them the
I
real
know,
gangsters right there. I'm
that,
telling
that
you.
was not my
oh my goodness.
I'm
and,
telling you.
and
Kindergartners are the
and
they the
then you
gangsters to the gangsters.
I tell you, and then that was the year when I taught kindergarten that they brought in, we had to teach, they had to learn how to read before they left us.
Oh no, them little
Yeah,
thugs ain't got time for that.
and shoot, I'm
They
trying to,
different now, Fat.
I'm
No,
trying
they
to,
ain't. They just
I'm,
smarter.
I'm trying to make them stay awake and, oh God.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, now that's brutal trying to keep a kindergartner awake when they're sleepy.
I tell
Now I
look,
understand.
no, I told them that was the most unsuccessful year I had in teaching.
Oh, Auntie. I'm
I
sure
got
you
about,
touched someone.
look, I taught about 2/3 of them how to read. That other third, they were driving me.
They built for that pipeline, that prison to jail, that school to prison pipeline.
No,
I'm joking.
no,
It's a joke.
not the kindergartners. Fat.
Look,
No,
oh girl, come in there. The kindergartens were telling me. I said, "Baby, what's the? I don't want to be here." I said, "Me,
yeah. Hey.
we
I,
gonna make it through." I hate school. I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, let's try to work it out together."
there is no reasoning with them.
No, that
Mhm.
tell you that 1/3. I say, Lord, and I was so upset because I was used to having a success rate, and that 1/3 they got me.
Oh goodness.
And
I
then,
mean, you got some of the pie. You ain't get the whole pie, but you got some of the pie.
oh, but my principal had the nerve to my Miss Glass, you want to loop? I say, loop with what? I'm coming back with these kids. I
Oh, they
told him,
wanted you back in kindergarten.
yeah, I told him you put me in kindergarten. I'm quitting.
Telling you. I was
Because
again.
they wanted me, and I he explained his reasoning, and his reason was very valid because I was certified in special education too, so I knew what to do for a child that was not learning the way they're supposed to be.
Mhm.
But choose, look, back then I had 33 children in the classroom,
Oh,
and
Oh,
kinder-
goodness.
that was a lot. That was a lot of.
That is a
Look,
lot. Because I think
that's
it's it's only like what, 15, 16 in the class now?
heck, that 1/3, I couldn't even teach them how to snap their coats up
That's horrible.
and
look.
tie their shoes.
Kindergartners is the reason why kung fu was invented by a woman.
What?
Yeah.
I had the privilege and the honor of being able to spend a lot of time with my grandmother. She taught me a lot of history. A lot of history. She lived through a lot of presidents, a
Mhm.
lot of bad times, a lot of good times, and it was just, you know, just amazing of some of the things she had gone through, and to be a mother of 11
Mhm.
and endured, you know, because she was raised, she was born what 1908 or 1909. So, and she was about 97 when she passed away. So she was blessed. She had seen a lot.
And again,
Mhm.
this is my Manny.
Yeah.
I used to be scared to death of my Manny.
I love my
I
man.
loved her. I loved her. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, but I just always like, I think it's because of Lance, and he had me mixed up because Lance got a story about Daddy Booker and
Oh.
getting about Daddy Booker, but always, yeah, for some reason that always translates to my Manny, and I'll be like, man, my Manny gonna turn me up. I can't do nothing. I hope
She was always really nice to us when we went over there.
she was always nice and sweet. Don't get me wrong.
But oh, if you could not say that Lord's Prayer, baby, you was in
Trouble.
trouble. If you could not say the Lord's Prayer, that's
Yeah,
why, like, I know that prayer like the back of my hand right now.
you a
Well, we
heathen.
learned the Lord's Prayer before we ever went to school. That's how much God was in our lives, and it being in the South, how much we relied on the Spirit of God. So
Mhm.
we knew all of that before we ever went to school. Yeah.
That's what I'm to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now these days, young ladies talking about they couldn't cook and all that stuff. Annie Mae wasn't going for it.
Oh, Shay, you can do some stuff. Don't be
But
like
Oh,
for
I'll keep you alive now. I'll keep you alive now.
hey, I mean, for any young lady out there that don't know how to cook, just come visit J Glass House LLC, and I'll learn you something.
Go.
You gonna teach them?
No, I remember
Yeah.
like my dad was telling us a story like how when him and my mom got married that she couldn't cook and he made her come over. Yeah, he made her go to Granny's house so she could learn how to cook. Like my mama can cook now though, so
Yes, you can. Yes, you
yeah,
can.
my mama can
Yeah,
burn. So
I got on to your daddy about that too. So, look at this rice floating in this water.
Yeah, but Auntie got the best lasagna I've ever had in my life. She can,
They say, I don't know.
she
They
rocks
say,
and that 7-layer salad she be making, like, whoa.
oh yeah.
I'll
Oh,
never
Wanda
forget them.
7-layer salad too now. But when they say Miranda then stole the lasagna contest, I
I
said,
don't
well,
know because it's a lot going on. It's a lasagna battle between Mama Alice and Miranda right now.
As long as
Oh.
ain't
So
nobody put no raisins in nothing, they all good with me.
no, it ain't no raisins.
All right, okay, all right.
not in no lasagna.
I'm just
No, it
saying.
ain't no raisins in that. But okay, Aunt Kat. So speaking of food, like when we lived with you, I remember you making some like interesting foods that I have not gotten since I lived with you. And like this is one that I thought was really good. And me and my mom was talking about it the other day. Cause I was like, Mom, you were yes, that one.
What's the name
So
of it?
bulgogi. So
Bulgogi. Isn't it like Asian?
it's Korean. I have a
yeah.
Korean auntie on my dad's side, but I'll let my mama talk about that.
Yeah, my
That was
sister,
to me, it was so good to me. And I was like, Mama, do you think Aunt Kat still know how to make it?
oh yeah, my ex-sister-in-law Tina taught me how to make bulgogi, and this other like a meat pie called yaki mandu.
Yaki mandu.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't remember that one. I don't
Yes.
think you made that one for us.
and
Uh,
I made them. You probably don't remember, but I
you
made
on-
them.
you only really made them when we were still in Pacific, Ma. Once we moved to South St. Louis, you didn't make them that often.
When we moved to 4140, I did. I made them. I'm trying to think if you were at school or what. I didn't have to cook that often when y'all got out there. So but yeah, those were two Korean dishes that my children loved, and I liked it too. So I learned how to make.
Yeah.
bulgogi and yaki mandu. And yes, ma'am, I still do know how to.
Okay. I'm gonna have to you're gonna have to make me some or give me a recipe or do something. 'Cause
Okay.
I like
Okay.
it was so like if I remember like it was so good.
Yeah, over rice. It's
Yeah,
good.
it was over rice.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, your dad, that's what love for me to make, boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, your dad he fell in love with that. I was
that was
cooking,
really good.
had to come and save my sister-in-law. And
But
I
she got it together thanks to you
oh
guys.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
women, it was a village. So it was,
yeah.
and that's
And,
what I love
and you
about
know
our
what?
family.
I thank God for Adrian because she had a heart to want to learn how to cook. She really did. And I told him, I said, well, you gotta, she didn't have to cook.
Nope.
Your grandmother or Ida or Mr. Phillips or somebody would cook,
Yeah, my grandpa Sam cooked.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, in all honesty, you can't do her like that. But she would get her little index cards and she write down the recipes and stuff because during that time, we learned how to cook. We just learned how to cook. We ain't measure nothing. So
Yeah, we don't measure nothing now. So
no, no,
we stop when the
that's
ancestors
when
say
you're
stop.
a real cook. You don't measure a thing.
Don't measure nothing.
Glad y'all said that because I gotta tell people that end up following my page, don't look for measurements because my measurement is gonna be you measure to taste.
Well,
That's
You
it. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, you can't like
you
some stuff
take
like
it and put it what you need until you find what you want in it and go on with the next.
That
That's it.
smell
yeah.
about right. That smell about right there.
Yeah, but I had 5 of the children at home, Lawanda, so I made some interesting dishes.
You had to make it with fed everybody. So yes.
You grab a
Yeah.
couple of them packs of ramen noodles.
Huh?
And then sometimes you gotta grab a pack of them ramen noodles and throw some meat in there.
Hey,
Yeah, you know what? I would make when I did learn about ramen noodles. I made a meal out of it. Shoot, I had the green onions, the celery, the green bell peppers. I did it in.
Okay, she done made her Raymond Farr.
Hey,
She
right. So
hey,
I was
I
at
cooked.
my
I
granny
cooked for
house
my
and
children.
I remember Sierra making them like that. I'm sorry, I ain't got it. Oh, I was just saying I remember Sierra making them like that with the bell peppers, the onions and all that.
Yeah,
Man, it was just smell good, just
it's
tasty.
good.
when you got them aromatics in there, it don't smell good.
Yeah, you can make a meal. You can make a meal, and see that's what my thing was. Whatever I cooked, I had to make a meal because I had 3 boys and 2 girls, and one of them girls could eat as much as the boys. That Jada one wasn't shortstop. Shoot.
see,
And I got a question for you.
All right.
So since we're talking with Aunt Kat, your mom, I want to know how she has inspired you.
oh, you gonna put me on the red carpet like that, huh?
Um,
That's what we're talking about, women's inspiration.
Yeah, no,
This is
that's
Women's Month. So I want to know how she's inspired you.
that's a
My-
great question, and I think a lot of our audience sees it coming out. At the end of the day, to sum it all up, is simply being courageous and learning how to be me in everything that I do. And so, what my mom, if y'all haven't noticed, whenever she's going into a situation, regardless of where she's been, when she leaves, everybody be like, "Yeah, Kathleen Glass was here. Uh, she she left something behind. That's she's still influence, right? There's a vast amount of influence behind everywhere that she's left.
wow.
So
Thank
so
you.
that's summing things up for me, and that's in everything that I've done, be it school, because in high school I didn't do all that well, but people knew I was there. I didn't say much to anybody, but they knew I was there. I made my impression felt. College basketball, whenever I played basketball out on the street. Music, whenever I played in band from grade school through high school, even up to now. So even when I go into places now, I make sure that where I leave, you know that I've been there and my name's going to be mentioned sooner or later,
Mhm,
right? So it's at the end of the day, even if look at how I cook, the pictures that I've been posting, I learned how to cook by simply being quiet and watching. And like I tell people all the time, by the time I was 9, I could cook full meals without having an issue, without burning the kitchen down. So it's having that mindset of being comfortable. Look at my baby Alanya. You know, having a mindset of being comfortable and okay with who you are and
Yep.
being an influence and impactful one way or another. And it doesn't have to be for everybody, but somebody's gonna catch on to it, and it's gonna you'll go and you'll meet the people you're supposed to meet and influence the folks you're supposed to influence, so on and so forth. But that's again making a long story short because I don't want this to be about me. But that's what I've learned
No,
from mom, how to be an inspiration.
and that's why we're giving her flowers while she's alive.
Indeed.
That's why I
Too.
wanted to ask you
Thank you.
that question.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Lawanda, my mom has been a great influence in my life, all of my life. Um, like I said, it started from getting up early, going into the kitchen and watching her cook, to watching her make clothing, sew clothing on her hands, and how hard she worked with us, and always stressing getting an education. And she's always been there. She's always been a vital part of my life, a very inspiration in my life. When I want to give up, then go on, keep going, you know, you're gonna make it. Um, and I've been blessed. A lot of people don't develop relationships with their parents, and they really should. I
Mhm.
always developed a relationship with my mom. And because I simply wanted to, I loved her. She loved me. I felt that she loved me. If she didn't, then she showed fooled me. But
One of
I
them, but
always felt a lot of love, and I I've always felt that she trusted me to be responsible.
oh, that's
So
very.
yeah, so very, very influential in my life. And even now, you know, I'm back in St. Louis. You come back and you see my face and got fat again. I look like I ain't dying no more. Being in stage 5 kidney failure, she's nursed me back up. So I thank God, you know, she's 84. I feel bad because this is the time in her life that I should be caring for her, but she's still caring for me. So I'm blessed. She's been there for me all my life, and I can truly say it.
Yeah, I think as a mother, she would say that you're gonna always be her baby, regardless how old she is, how old you are. So her job is to care for you as her child. So I'm
Yeah.
sure
Indeed.
she's not regretting any of it.
And we got to get Granny out of St. Louis.
Good luck.
Yeah,
I don't
good
know if you
luck.
heard me say that or not, but I say that every time
Even get
I
the
see it.
memo out of St.
'Cause,
Louis.
yeah, Granny ain't going nowhere.
She's
You
not
sure
leaving.
you sure you don't want to move to Texas? You sure you don't want to move to Arkansas? You know, places that I know she would enjoy, but no,
She is not leaving.
nah.
No.
She's comfortable here. She got here. She made it to St. Louis in 1964, 65 or 65, and she's been in South St. Louis all our lives.
Mm.
So
Mm.
this is
Oh,
where
she came up here. Well, Daddy was born in '63, so she came up here like right after that.
right after she had married. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So this is all about Women's History Month, and Auntie, I just had a question because you've been through, you know, you've had several careers and opportunities of employment as a woman and as a Black woman. And I know you come up against some struggles with that, biases. I just wanted you to give some advice to the women out there, especially, you know, the Black women, just women in general, on how to kind of overcome those biases where doesn't matter how smart you are, the man is going to get the job, or the person of a different culture is going to get a job, you know. How did you overcome those kind of struggles where you just knew that it was based on your color and, you know, your gender, you know?
Well, the thing about it is I've always educated myself to make sure and prepared myself for the job that I was going after. So I never had a problem in that area with jobs, never. But I would say this, your journey was written a long time ago for you. Don't let anybody rewrite your story. You write your own story. Don't let anybody deter you off the course that you are pursuing, because that's up to you. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, you can do it. You can be it. We are in a time now where, not like when I first started out, where they consider gender in order to get a certain job.
Mhm.
You know, had I been born in this dispensation of time, I could have easily gone into aeronautical engineering.
Mhm. Mhm.
But and by the way, I did pick it in front of O'Fallon Tech by myself.
Okay, Auntie.
Fight for the
Because
right. Gotta fight for the right.
I thought it was very unfair. And then Mr. Katz came out and got me and assured me that eventually women will be able to get into aeronautical engineering, but right now was not the time.
Oh,
and wiped my eyes, my tears, and told me to come on into class. So I went into accounting at that time. So and I've always liked numbers, and I pursued that and got a little certificate and a diploma in accounting, and it has proven to be beneficial. But still, I never let anybody rewrite my story. I've always been a fighter. Always stand up for what you believe your truth is and for where you want to go.
Yeah.
Get into an area. Always pursue something that you enjoy. It's not always about the money. I didn't become an educator before the money. I
Yeah.
became an educator because I always wanted to impart into somebody's life. I
Yeah.
wanted someone to walk away with something that they didn't have in the beginning before they left, before they met me.
Right.
So never let anybody deter you from your journey. Pursue it.
Even in those hard moments, keep going and just keep making sure
going.
you are
Keep
the best
going.
that you can be, because no matter how many times you get passed over, you will get that opportunity.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you need to be prepared for it so you can prove that Black
Oh,
women can do it. Women can do it, you know.
yes, you can. And like I said, we're living in a day now where gender doesn't even matter. You got men becoming women, women becoming men anyway, so it doesn't matter. You can be anything and anybody you want to be. It's what's in your heart. And
Yeah.
always want to make a difference. Make a difference.
Amazing. Thank you so
amazing.
much. Thank
Preach, Auntie.
you, AP. Kathleen Glass, we're so happy that you came on with us. It's been a really great
Such
conversation.
a treat.
I just thank God, because I would have my same children. I love my children. I consider myself to be a blessed mother. I've always been proud of them, and really thank God that they have inspired to make a difference in this world. So yeah, I'm proud of my family, period. All my nieces and nephews, I'm proud of you all. I
Oh,
really,
thank you, Auntie.
oh yeah, I'm proud of you all. And I tell anybody, I thank God I couldn't have been born into a better family.
We
I
think
really,
the same thing too. We say that all the time.
yeah, I couldn't, I don't believe I could have been born into a better family. I really don't.
Well, I know we all thank you for your love and your support as always.
Well,
You know what I'm
thank
saying?
you.
Appreciate you.
I'm like, my heart
Appreciate
is so full right now. I'm really trying not to cry. Y'all know me, the crybaby.
Oh, right, all emotional women over here. We about to
I am. I'm like really fighting back tears right now. So bye,
Aw.
Kat.
So with that being said, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in and listening to another episode of the Family Bloodline podcast. We definitely appreciate it. I hope we leave you better than what we found you. Until next time. And thank you, Mom.
watch it.
Love
You're
you.
welcome.
Bye. Love you.
Love
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.